Hello and welcome to episode number 228. This is the Project Management Podcast at pm-podcast.com and I am Cornelius Fichtner. Nice to have you with us. Today's discussion with Andy Makar is about his book, Project Management Interview Questions Made Easy, that will help you get ready for your next job interview. If your finger is now already hovering over the stop button because you are currently employed and you don't have to take a job interview anytime soon, and you think that, well, I don't really need to listen to this, then give me just a short moment longer to tell you why you should, in fact, listen to what Andy has to say. Well, actually, let me read a review written by Tim Cermak on Amazon about the book. He says, Dr. Makar delivers easy-to-read information, valuable whether you're new to the project management industry or a seasoned professional. Often, PMs find themselves interviewing for positions even when they are fully employed, as companies worldwide hire professional project managers to consult. This is not a one-time read. This book should be a reference source in the desks and bags of every project manager out there. Well then, have we changed your mind and you're not going to press stop? Good. So now then, get ready for your next interview by enjoying the interview.
The Project Management Podcasts feature interview.
Today with Andy Makar, IT Program Manager and author. Hello, Andy, and welcome to the Project Management Podcast.
Hello.
So you wrote a book titled Project Management Interview Questions Made Easy. Now, since there are so many interviewing books out there, why write a book on the topic?
Well, that's a good question. The purpose of the book was to really focus on the project managers who are out there looking for project management jobs. And if you do a quick Google search, you'll find that there are hundreds and hundreds of project management related questions and websites that will tell you what questions are on a project management interview. The problem is these questions there's hundreds of them, and trying to memorize 100 questions for an interview that those questions may not be asked at all, that's a challenge for anybody going into an interview situation. So what I did is I focused on interview strategies as well as some core interview questions that could be used in a project management interview.
So what will readers actually learn from reading your book?
So in the book, I provide a 7-step process for a successful project management interview. I start out by taking the reader through the importance of preparing the professional project management profile, as well as going through several steps to find the right opportunity, going through steps to pass the phone screen, looking to prepare for an on-site interview, and then actually getting into the project management interview itself. Then there's a few other things to think through when you go through thank you, follow-up, as well as even negotiating and accepting your offer.
All right, before we get into the details here, let me take a complete detour and make a left turn here, because certifications is always a big topic when it comes to getting a job. How important are certifications these days in regards to getting a job?
I think today certifications are still an important tool to have on your resume. I know when I hire my project managers, I look for the PMP certification because it helps establish that we have common language and common understanding of what a project management framework is. Now, there's a lot of debate out there in terms of, is the PMP certification really required for a project management job? I found it helpful to have that, and when I work with my team, it is definitely a helpful certification. That's even when I look into how you prepare your project management profile, making sure you're either indicating you're preparing for a PMP certification or you're involved in a professional project management organization. Those are helpful indicators to see that you take your profession seriously. It's not only within the job, but it's also within the local project management community.
So you mentioned a few steps that you have in your process. In fact, when I look at the table of contents, that's pretty much your table of contents. So prepare your project management profile, find the right opportunity, pass the phone screen, prepare the on-site interviews. So far, I haven't really seen anything that I wouldn't find in any other interviewing book.
Well, in the first 3 steps, it takes you through some formal interview techniques and things you want to think about when you clean up your social profile, as well as making sure you represent a true project management professional image. Because in today's day of social media, you also have people will go out and search your own profile on the internet and see a little bit about what you are about, not only on your resume, but also what your social media footprint looks like. In step 2, I do take a unique twist on how to develop a career contact matrix. And this is a free downloadable tool with the book that will help you build out your networking matrix of contacts, opportunities, and it provides a roadmap that lets you do follow-up as well as help network with other project managers and help find those other opportunities.
In the past, when I was looking for a project management job, there were 2 opportunities that usually came up. It was either a general project management job, you work for a company somewhere in a department and you will be managing multiple projects here, or, oh, we need you as the main project manager on this humongous project over here. You'll be doing nothing but this, and it's a contractual position, and then afterwards you're done. Will the book help in both cases?
I think so, because particularly in step 4, when I talk about preparing for the on-site interview, this is where you want to rely on your experiences. And, there are certain core fundamental technical and managerial project management questions that will be asked in the interview. But in your example of working on a large program or working on a smaller project, those are all scenarios that you're going to want to brainstorm and rely on. So when you go into an interview, and they ask you an off-the-wall question, you can still relate to a particular experience because you've done this review and you've actually looked at your own profile and thought back to what were the lessons learned, the action items, as well as your roles and contributions to those previous projects. So what you'll find is that as you build out your career contact matrix, and as again in step 4, I help the reader construct an actual mind map to help prepare for that interview. You'll be able to use those tools to help find additional jobs as well as find other jobs within the company.
Okay. When we originally discussed that we would be doing this interview about your book, you suggested that, I have several good tips that I can give to the listeners here. So we want to look at 3 tips that you have. And what we're doing is I'll just be reading out the tip for you that you sent me kindly via email. And then you can talk to us a little bit more about this tip and tell us how to use that in our project management job interviews. So project management interview tip number 1, be prepared for project management leadership related questions. Tell me about this one.
Well, these get into the core leadership behaviors of what does it take to be a project manager. And I focus heavily on demonstrating a drive for results, demonstrating courage, as well as following through with a customer focus. And those are all core leadership behaviors that project managers need to demonstrate. And that's what your clients are looking for because they're looking to hire you to get the job done. And so when you think about specific leadership behaviors, you want to think about scenarios in your past career where you've demonstrated leadership on your projects. And that you may not have been the full-time project management lead. Perhaps you're a project coordinator looking to get into a PMO role or looking to take your first project management job. But focusing on where you've demonstrated leadership to help deliver a project for a client, it's critical in a project management interview.
Okay. Tip number 2, be prepared for technical project management related questions. What about this?
So this is where in our discipline, when you think about what is a technical related project management question, one of the things I tend to look for is we'll have a discussion with a candidate about what are the steps you follow to build a project schedule, as well as tell me the technical steps that you follow to actually baseline a project schedule in Microsoft Project. These types of conversations help determine what is the project manager's thought process when building a project schedule, other than them simply nodding their heads and saying, yeah, we use Microsoft Project. Because as you know, Microsoft Project is a pretty technical tool. And what I'm looking to hear is what are they using to actually create the project schedule to ensure it's a dynamic schedule that's free from any constraints, as well as its baseline, and then what is their thought process around managing a project schedule. All too often, project managers will make the mistake of building this extensive schedule and putting it in a drawer and just go out and start fighting the issues and risks, but they don't go back to look at the schedule to see how well they're performing. So when you look at the technical project management competencies, those are the actual techniques that I'm assessing to understand how well are they going to monitor and control the project work, or actually go through a process of defining scope and gathering requirements for a given project. All those are indicators that tell me what tools and techniques does the project manager use to help facilitate the various phases of the project management lifecycle.
Okay, and I really like project management interview tip number 3 that you have for us. It's important project management interview questions that you should ask. I like this one in particular because in most books it says, well, here are the questions that you should ask during the interview, like where will I be sitting? Do you have a employee manual that I could look at? Things like that. But you actually take this to the next level. You say there are certain project management questions that you should also ask. Tell us about this one.
Well, and that's an important thing to remember, is that an interview is a two-way street. I know a lot of people get interview anxiety, and what they don't realize is that you are interviewing the company just as they are interviewing you. And it's perfectly acceptable that that opportunity may not be a fit, but it's good that you went out and actually explored the fit and determined what actually makes sense for you in your own career. But that's why when you want to go into a project management interview, as they ask you questions, you want to make sure you glean some information so you can determine if this is the right fit for you. So, some of those questions that I focus on is, I want to know what are the top 3 challenges or issues that are going on in the project that need my attention. I also want to know how well engaged are the business partners. Because if you don't have a strong business sponsor or a business partner on the project, that's going to make it very tough to do the delivery. And also, as the PM, you want to know what type of team are you walking into? Are you going to be building that project management team from scratch? Or are you going to have to take the existing resources and build them up to the level of standards for your project management processes that you like to follow? All of these are indicators that are going to help tell you what's the true challenge with the current project and what other opportunities are out there.
Okay, so these were your 3 project management job interview tips that you have for us from your book. They were be prepared for project management leadership related questions, then also to be prepared for the technical project management related questions, and then don't forget to turn the whole thing around. And there are also some important interview questions that you should ask in regards to project management. Now, I'd like to go back to something that you mentioned just before we got into these 3 tips, and that was a technique. You only briefly mentioned one word, mind map. Sure. You suggest in your book that you use a mind map to prepare for the interview. Why?
Well, what I find is the mind map technique is a tool that I've used for years across the whole project management spectrum. But as it relates to the project management interview, by creating a single one-page mind map, it helps you think through what is your formal introduction into the audience, as well as what are the high-level scenarios that you want to remember from both a leadership and management, as well as from a technical project management perspective. So when you go through your resume and you start thinking about your past scenarios and past projects that you've worked on, you don't want to make certain bullet points and start identifying key scenarios that you remembered. Well, it helps to organize a lot of this information all within a one-page mind map. Especially when you think about key facts about the company that you're walking into the interview, you want to at least appear knowledgeable and that you've done some key research on the company as talking points, as well as when you think about the important questions that you want to ask. I have these all structured around a mind map template, and this is also another template I provide in the book, which allows you to brainstorm what those key questions should be, and really it helps you prepare for that interview. And every time I've walked into an interview, I've created a mind map, and just 15 minutes before the interview, I just open up the mind map, I do a quick scan, and that gives me a really good, solid preparation for walking into that interview. It's a much better process than reviewing your resume, reviewing the job description. If you can see things visually, it will help you prepare for the interview better, and you'll actually be able to recall the key scenarios and key pieces of information that you want to bring up in the interview.
Okay, so you said that the mind map template comes with the book. So in what formats is the book then available, and how do I get the mind map template?
So I've currently launched the book on the Amazon Kindle platform. And when you purchase the book, it includes a link onto my website that you can download the mind map template as well as the career contact matrix that you can then go ahead and start building out your own career contacts for your own professional networking, as well as start working with the mind map template to flush that out for your own project management interview.
All right. One thing that I've also been wondering is I can see the value definitely of this with somebody starting out in project management, newbies coming in for project coordinator positions. What about the experienced 25-year veteran of project management? Will they still see value in this?
Oh, absolutely. I think this is where the book is tailored to the project manager seeking a project management interview. But the same questions that I outline in the book around the leadership behaviors and the technical project management questions, those all can be used in your own project management interview to assess new candidates joining your team. And these are I have several questions in the book that I use in all of my project management interviews that help me determine if this is a strong candidate to bring onto the project. So experienced project managers can use this as their own interview guide as well.
Okay. Final question for you, Andrew, before I let you go. The book is 52 pages long, but it actually ends sort of on page 46, 47, and then you get into the bonus material. And the bonus material is nothing I've seen in any other book. Tell us a little bit about that, because that's an interesting idea that you had.
Well, so in the bonus material, what I wanted to also get not only my viewpoint on the project management interview questions, but I also wanted to provide project managers with additional information from other project management practitioners. So I did a series of interviews, and I reached out to a number of project managers to get an idea of what are some other useful interview questions that they have used on their projects. So some of those you think through. I'll give you a few sample here. It's what's your strongest project management skill? What's your favorite leadership or management style? And in the project, what activities will you spend about 80% of your project time? And it takes you through about 20 different questions that I gathered from doing some research. And another section too is I actually went out to Twitter and I did a whole structured interview via Twitter for a number of project management colleagues that center around how did they get their first project management job? What was the best PM interview question that they've heard? What do they think are the top project management skills that need to be as part of a project management profile, as well as how important do they feel the PMP was in their own job search? So I wanted to provide not only the technique, but also some other industry research from real world project managers to give the readers a better feel for what else is out there.
All right, wonderful. Andrew, thank you very much. The book, once again, is called Project Management Interview Questions Made Easy: The Job Seeker's Guide for Successful Project Management Interviews. Of course, we will have a link to this book on the website at the PM Podcast, and you can find it from there. Currently available on Kindle and pretty soon also out in paperback. Andy, thank you very much for having come on the program today. Appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
And that was our discussion with Andy Makar on project management interview questions made easy. That's it for today. Thank you very much for listening. And as always, you can find us on the web at pm-podcast.com. If you are a project manager who wants to become PMP or PMI ACP certified, then the easiest way to do so is with our sister podcasts, the PM Prepcast or the Agile Prepcast. And study for the exam by watching the in-depth exam prep video training from pmprepcast.com. Please send your emails to info@pm-podcast.com, and when you write, please do tell me where in the world you are writing from. And finally, we have this. The worst project managers sleep very well at night. Until next time.